got the backpack spray all set up, and it has this adjustable nozzle for high pressure application. So the test here is to see if we can hit the top of this house, which you can see is about where that little branch is. That tip of the house is about 30 feet or so. So I'm going to try and do this with the camera in my hand, but we'll see if we can hit the top of that house. So I'm about 15 feet away from the house, give or take, about 15 feet. Again, the house is about 30 feet up to the top of that roof. Now I'm aiming, you see where that little grate is? That's going to be where I'm aiming for. So hopefully you can see the stream. There's no wind. I'm going to try and aim for a spot that you can see a little bit better on the camera. So I'm going to aim for the top of the vinyl right above the window. So where that white frame basically is, where it meets the grey vinyl, just on top of that window. So I'm just going to pump it real quick. Again, this is max pump with the high pressure nozzle, and I'm aiming for the top of that window. There's no wind. I'm about 6 foot tall, and I would say from the top of that nozzle I'm about 7 feet up from the ground. It's starting to back off, and it's starting to drop away pretty significantly, and I've turned it off. So that easily hit the top of the house, easily. And for context, I was not pumping as I was spraying because I'm holding a camera, but to maintain that stream I can simultaneously pump while I'm spraying. So it absolutely is adequate enough for a 30-foot house. What's good about this too is it is an adjustable nozzle. So I don't know if you can really see that there, but it does come out as a spray, so you can adjust it. Now that nozzle means you're not going to use as much solution, so for all this low level stuff, it takes a little bit longer, but very easy to use. Also, for context, when I was stood over there, I was stood on my concrete pad. My concrete pad is about 5 or 6 inches off the ground. So stood here at the side of my house, I'm about 5 inches lower. So that's still about 30 feet. But I just wanted to throw that out there just because I am a little bit lower here, and it still managed to hit the top of the house. Just gonna give you a different angle. Again, I'm still about 7 feet from the tip of the nozzle. I'm about 7 feet off the ground, and that's about 30 feet up in the air, aiming for the top of the roof. In fact, actually aiming for the gutter. I'm aiming now for the gutter, the top of the gutter. So it's clearing the house. It's clearing the house. So it can easily hit that gutter. Pressure's starting to dial back. Again, I'm not pumping it. I'm just maintaining that stream. And look, it's completely died away now, but that's sort of the time frame in terms of consistency of the stream you would get if you didn't pump while you were spraying. So I'm trying to use that backpack sprayer as a substitute for a Softwash system, but I wanted something that could take a solution and apply it to the side of a house and get enough pressure to push it up to the top of a house, right? So in my case, I have a 30-foot house. So I'm kind of trying to use my house as a frame of reference to test my equipment. So it's 30 feet high, and I want to see if my system to apply a cleaning solution can reach to the top of a roof, to reach to the top of a building. In this case, mine, which is about 30 feet high. So, and in that respect, it's passed the test, right? Now there's a couple of reasons why I want to do that instead of using a traditional Softwash system. I personally like the idea of not having to use a pressure washer, right? So if you compare it to something like an X-Jet is great because, you know, you get the range, you get the pressure, it's easy to set up, it's easy to tear down, and I definitely see why people use it. Similar, comments for a downstream injector. I guess my criticism and why I chose not to get an X-Jet was I felt that with the pressure washer, if you can't dial back the outflow, like if you can't dial my pressure washer back from 2.8 gallons a minute, then essentially, to me at least, it seems like you would be spraying excess solution onto the side of a house, and you would burn through whatever you have pretty quickly. So preferably I wanted a system that was a bit more precise, that was a bit more efficient in terms of its consumption rate. And, of course it's slower. I can't sit here and say an X-Jet is going to be slower than using a backpack sprayer. Like, that's not the case. A backpack sprayer will be slower. And also it goes back to not using the pressure washer, right? If I'm not using the pressure washer as a means to blast water and the cleaning solution up to a roof, that means I'm not putting wear and tear on the engine, I'm not putting wear and tear on the pump, I'm not running it as much. And if I'm running it less, hypothetically, the engine and the pump should last longer. So especially when you've got these budget, Harbor Freight pressure washers, you do kind of want to get as much life out of them as possible. So if you've managed to create a system with the Softwash that bypasses having to use that pressure washer, at least a little bit, then it's going to extend the life of the engine, extend the life of the pump. It's also going to keep your costs down because you're not going to use as much gas. That pressure washer outside, according to the owner's manual, has about a 3-hour runtime if it's idling. So it doesn't say how long it runs for when you're just using it continuously, when the water is coming out at high pressure. So I have to kind of guess, but I would imagine it's about half of that. It's about an hour and a half, because in the manual it says at 50% load you get a 3-hour runtime from a 1-gallon gas reservoir. So I'm trying to think about all of these things to maybe keep costs down, whilst also still doing the exact same job. Do I sacrifice a little bit of efficiency? Of course I do. But I keep my costs down a little bit. I'm probably gonna be able to maintain my pressure washer for a little bit longer. So I'm trying to keep all of those things in mind, and I'm trying to form a calculus of the costs versus the benefits of each individual option. The X-Jet versus the backpack sprayer versus the downstream injector, and so on and so forth. So for now, as a solution to getting moderately pressured water, it's kind of a mouthful, moderately pressured water to the top of a house, I think that backpack sprayer works. I'll put a link down in the description to that exact model. It's a Husqvarna 4-gallon manual backpack sprayer. You can buy them from Lowe's. With tax, it's about $95. I'll put a link down in the description. It's, as far as I can tell, it's the only one that may have enough pressure to do what I need it to do. I can't say that for other backpack sprayers, whether they're manual or powered by lithium. So, if you're kind of in the same frame of mind as me, and you're just looking for alternatives, maybe that are more cost effective, at least in your sort of initial startup for your business, then yeah, take into consideration this backpack sprayer. I think it will work.